Welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Allison. Today we're digging into the mixed signals in the cannabis market. Some big international progress, some thorny state rules, and still a lot of federal uncertainty. Joining me is Jonathan, market analyst. Hey Jonathan, remember, if you have questions as we go, you can ask us at stockalpha.ai.
Great to be here, Allison. Lots to unpack from yesterday's headlines that are still moving trade desks this morning.
Let's start with the big win. Brazil approved medical cannabis cultivation and expanded patient access. Why does that matter to someone holding U.S. cannabis stocks?
It matters because Brazil is a huge market with millions of potential patients. When a country legalizes cultivation and broadens access, it creates demand for supply chains, licensing, and export deals. For investors, that means multinational operators and companies with export capabilities could see real, long-term revenue growth. Think of it as opening a new region where big players can sell product and services. But the timing and rules for who can actually ship into Brazil will determine who benefits first.
So, it's a big opportunity but not an instant payday?
Exactly. Implementation is the key word. Regulators will set licensing rounds, import rules, and quality standards. Investors should watch those timelines and any trade restrictions. If a company already has Latin American partnerships, it's in a better position than a U.S.-only cultivator.
Now, the same day we get that good international news, there were tougher proposals at the state level. Oklahoma, South Carolina, stuff like THC caps and new taxes. That seems like the opposite story. What should investors take from the state-level movement?
State rules are the reminder that U.S. cannabis is still a patchwork. Some states will loosen rules or allow new product types, and others will tighten caps, taxes, or potency. For local operators, that can hit margins and pricing fast, and it often leads to consolidation. Smaller growers who can't absorb new compliance costs might sell or merge with stronger operators. From a portfolio perspective, this is why selective exposure matters. You don't want to be overweighted in companies concentrated in states that are moving towards stricter regimes.
You mentioned consolidation. Is that a buying opportunity or a warning sign?
Both. Tight markets and new taxes can force weaker players out, which can create buying opportunities for well-capitalized companies to pick up assets at attractive valuations. But in the short term, expect volatility and headline-driven selling. If you want to be opportunistic, focus on firms with clean balance sheets and a record of execution.
Let's talk federal. The Justice Department apparently had no update on rescheduling. How does that keep markets on edge?
Federal clarity is the structural tailwind the industry is missing. Rescheduling would change banking access, taxes, and legal risk. With the Department of Justice saying there's no update more than a month after the president signed an executive order, that tailwind remains on hold. On top of that, there's a Supreme Court filing about the federal gun ban for cannabis consumers. That could change legal exposure, but it's uncertain. Without clear moves from agencies or the courts, expect headline-driven spikes and dips.
So, federal action could be a catalyst, but it could also take time. In the meantime, there were some infrastructure wins in the headlines: banking and breeder rights. Walk us through why those matter.
Infrastructure is the slow and steady good news. More banking adoption, payment rails, and financial services mean operators can get deposit access, loans, and basic financial tools that lower costs and enable scale. A firm like Safe Harbor Financial getting traction is notable because better banking reduces cash risk and opens up capital. Breeder rights and genetics protections help companies with proprietary strains preserve margins and build premium products. These are not instantaneous fixes for federal uncertainty, but they improve operational fundamentals and can support valuations over time.
For traders and investors listening, any specific names or places you'd keep on a watch list right now?
Yes. The Broad Cannabis Exchange Traded Fund, MSOS, remains a popular vehicle for sector exposure because it captures flows across the industry. Among companies, watch Trulieve, Green Thumb, Curaleaf, and Tilray. These names are liquid and often used by traders to express bullish or bearish views. But don't treat them as a block. Each has different state footprints and international exposure.
If someone asked you, should I reposition before these votes and rulings or wait for clearer signals, what would you say?
It comes down to risk tolerance. If you want to avoid headline volatility, wait for clearer state votes or a DOJ timeline. If you're comfortable with volatility and looking for opportunities, selectively add to positions in companies with diversified markets, strong balance sheets, or clear paths into international demand. Also consider using smaller, tactical allocations rather than going all in ahead of major policy events.
Before we wrap, what are the concrete things investors should monitor in the coming weeks?
Track 4 things closely. 1. The Brazil implementation timeline, licensing rounds, and export rules. 2. State legislative outcomes in Oklahoma and South Carolina and similar proposals elsewhere. 3. Any updates from the Department of Justice or the Supreme Court docket that could change federal risk. And 4. Adoption metrics from banking and payments firms like new partnerships or deposit growth, which signal better capital access for operators.
Perfect. Jonathan, let's end with quick takeaways for listeners who might be short on time.
Sure. 1. Brazil expands long-term addressable demand, but benefits depend on implementation and who wins licenses. 2. State-level restrictions create fragmentation. Expect local pain and potential consolidation. 3. Federal rescheduling remains uncertain, so infrastructure wins are helpful, but not a replacement for federal clarity.
Thanks, Jonathan. And thanks everyone for listening. If you have questions about anything we discussed today, you can ask us directly at stockalpha.ai. We answer listener questions live. And for more market insights, head over to stockalpha.ai.